Hi, let's break down the different parts of a deed.
Parties to the deed. The deed is a written document, also called an instrument, that voluntarily conveys the transfer of title of real property from one party to another. There are two parties to a deed. The person transferring title is the grantor of the deed, whereas the person receiving title is called the grantee. Grantor, owner giving title; grantee, new owner receiving title. Parts of a deed. A deed is a written instrument that transfers ownership from one party to another. The deed is divided into three basic parts: the premises section, the operative part, and the conclusion. It is important to be able to identify and understand the different parts of a deed. The deed is divided into three basic sections: the premises section, the operative part, and the conclusion. The required parts of a deed are contained within the sections. Premises section. The premises section of a deed starts with the date that the deed is being transferred. It specifies the names of the grantor and the grantee of the property, along with the parties' known addresses. Consideration, which is the money paid for the property, is specified in the premises section. The premises section ends with words of conveyance called the granting clause. The granting clause states that it is the grantor's intent to grant or convey the property to the grantee. The granting clause must identify the property conveyed through the inclusion of the property legal description. Operative section. The operative section leads with the habeam clause. The habeam clause is the wording of the deed that describes exactly what type of interest is being conveyed. The wording, to have and to hold, is common phrasing in the habeam clause. Fee simple estates will add the word forever to indicate that the transfer of ownership is permanent. Existing deed restrictions or restrictions being placed on the deed by the grantor are disclosed next. An example of a seller-imposed deed restriction could be the seller to refuse to allow an existing farm being developed into a residential neighborhood. Exceptions and reservations are then described to identify known encroachments or encumbrances which act as impediments on the property. Appurtenances are descripted. Appurtenances are any use of areas that transfer with the property. Examples are parking garages or spaces, water rights, and use of clubhouses, pools, or community centers. Conclusion section. Voluntary delivery and acceptance of the legal transfer of the property is contained within the conclusion section of the deed. The signatures of the grantor and two witnesses are a requirement for the deed to be legal. The deed does not have to be signed by the grantee. This deed will normally be notarized in order to be able to record the deed with the clerk of the court. Note, however, that the deed does not have to be signed by the grantee or notarized for property transfer to legally occur. Sample of granting clause. This graphic provides a sample of a granting clause within a sample deed, stating, for consideration of the sum of blank dollars, the grantor hereby bargain, deed, and convey the following described real property to the grantee forever, free and clear, with warranty covenants. Sample of habenem clause. This graphic demonstrates the habenem clause within a deed. Grantor for itself and its heirs hereby covenants with grantee, its heirs, and assigns that the grantor is lawfully seized in fee simple of the above described property,